I told you guys I bought another motorcycle. If you guys have been paying attention, you guys will know that I bought a second Honda Gb500. This is the new one. This is the old one that you guys have seen plenty of times if you're subscribers to the channel. If you're not subscribers, hit that subscribe button. Anyways, today I want to talk about my new bike. This is my new Honda Gb500, and it is beautiful. Let me tell you why I bought a second one, what the story about this bike is, how I ended up buying it, and the past history of the bike. So the bike on the right, I showed you guys a little while ago. If you haven't checked it out, check it out after this video. That bike my dad has owned for the last 20 years. This bike, on the other hand, is a new purchase. If we walk towards it, you guys can see it is in like mint condition, basically. Both these bikes do have rear cowls that are currently not on them. This bike is in perfect condition. I bought this bike in Michigan a couple weeks ago, about a month ago, I would say, just about a month ago. And I saw it listed for sale back late last year. It was all the way up on the UP, on the very tip of the UP, about 4 hours one way from where I am in Wisconsin. So it was quite a drive. I saw the bike, it was listed for a certain number, and I thought it was a little high, might have been a little reasonable, but it was a long drive for me. It was winter, the market was very, very far down at that point, and it offered a little bit less, but I still think it offered a reasonable amount. I said this is like the top I would pay. Owner didn't really want to come down. Couple weeks later, she texted me and she's like, all right, I'll come to your number, come pick it up. And well, I was very, very happy and thrilled because I really wanted this bike and I thought about it every single day, but I just couldn't justify paying the extra couple thousand that the owner was asking. In the pictures, I couldn't really tell what condition the bike was in, but it looked like it was in really good condition. It was covered in dust, it was covered in dirt, and that's what I felt comfortable with at the time. And then I got there and the bike was even better than I thought it was. It does have a few nicks and kind of weird chips that happen with age, but things like the switch here is like brand new. On the other bike, the switch isn't red anymore. It's all faded because of the sun. This bike only has 3,001 miles. Let that sink in for a second. 3,001 original mile. I put gas in the tank. I took it out for a little ride. It had it running about 2 years. I fired it up when I got there, and I was just thrilled because I always wanted a second one of these. I had been searching. I had one to get away from me, and I didn't want to lose this one. And then when I got the opportunity to go and buy it, I drove 8 hours one day round trip. When the GBs came out, they were kind of like collectors from the get-go, and that's because they failed so epically in the first year or so. And then a couple years after, people started to realize, wait a second, there's only like 3,000 of these bikes that were ever produced, and they are awesome. 500 single carburetor, and they rev out like crazy. It's only got about 33 horsepower, but it's an extremely light and fun bike, and it looks awesome. This is stock. This is what a stock bike looks like. The bike next to me is not stock. It's missing these handlebar ends, which I do have for that bike, but this has the stock muffler, stock header, stock indicators. There's nothing on this bike that has been tampered with. On the other bike, unfortunately, I lost the original key, but if I walk over here, these bikes also kind of have a individual key that you don't really see on too many other bikes. That is a key for the Honda Gb500, and it looks awesome. I unfortunately don't have it for the other bike, but I have it for this one, and I am so pumped that I do. Now, what's the story of this bike? Where did it come from? Well, I bought it from the original owner. Her husband passed away. This was her husband's bike, and at the time, they lived in Alaska when the bikes first came out. Like I said, they failed epically, and I think about a year or so later, I have all the paperwork for this bike, but about a year or so later, in like 91 or 92, he bought this bike as kind of like a collector thing and something to ride around a little bit and have fun with. She was telling me a majority of the miles were put on Alaska when the bike was first bought in the first couple of years, because there was like a surface street that went from like one town to another that only motorcycles could go on, and that's where he rode it. I'm assuming it was a gravel road because there are a couple chips up here that would indicate that. There's like a couple minor imperfections there. There's also a ding right here in the tank. These end up dinging the tanks, the handlebar extensions, and it looks like this one has hit this side at some point, and on that bike, the left one had hit the left side at some point. all of them have the ding. Very rare to find them without the ding. Basically, he rode it from one town to another. Then basically they ended up moving out of the country for their jobs. The bike stayed in Alaska for many, many years, and eventually they moved to Michigan, where they took the bike with them. And then again, when they moved to Michigan, it sat for many years, because I'm assuming in the time when he didn't ride it and he was overseas, the carburetor clogged up. Then in 2022, before he passed away, they spent a good amount of money to get the bike running again, and to inevitably sell it. I'm assuming that because where they were in Michigan, there weren't too many people to work on them, which is why this costed them, I think she was saying, about $2,000 for the new tires, the carburetor work, and any other miscellaneous parts to get it running nicely again. Then at that point, the owner passed away, and she kind of just sat on the bike for about 1.5 years and listed it for sale at the end of last year. That's when I found it, or my dad found it, and I made her the offer, and I waited. Now she does fire up. Carburetor is clean. Let's turn the fuel on. I'm not sure if I have enough fuel. The battery for this bike is in that bike, but we should be able to kick her over. Choke on. If you guys are viewers of the channel, you guys know how that bike sounds, and I'll fire that up in a second too. It's kind of... Listen to that. It is so quiet. Like, it has a classic Honda whine. All the stock bikes have that just sound to them. All the old Hondas, even at my 750 parked over there, even that does it with the stock mufflers. Unless she'll idle, off choke. It is so quiet. That bike is so loud compared to this one. It's so quiet, it's so funny. But it fires right up, no problems. It doesn't even have a battery in it, it doesn't really care. Only basically the electronics don't work when the battery's not in it. What do we say? We should take it out for a little ride and enjoy it for the very first time. The only thing that isn't quite working is the clutch. And I'm gonna test to see if it works now. And it's working a little better. I'll show you guys this in just a second. But whether it needs to be replaced, whether it's cold, or whether it's just needing to be used a little bit, it likes to stick just a tad. It's working a lot better than what it was before. I'm gonna fire up the other one, and you guys will hear just that bike, and you won't even hear the stock bike over it. So let's compare the difference. Pretty cool. That bike just turned off, but you could hear them idling together for a second. Let's take this one for a ride. It's so quiet, it's almost funny compared to like this bike or even that bike. But I'll show you what I was talking about with the clutch. You can see how slow it wants to come back. It's not like immediately wanting to push back. Before, I would push it in and it would almost stay here basically. So maybe the more I use it, the more it'll start working. Possibly. Anyways, let's go take her on a short little ride and break her in. Got a light for the side stand there. I don't know if you guys can see it from the angle, but there's a little light here. Flip this up. Goes away. It is so quiet. Like the other bike at this speed would be popping, would be banging. It's basically just, it's like riding, I don't know, it makes the bike almost feel smaller in a way because there's no like noise. I don't know, it's a very weird feeling that it's so much quieter. Turn signals, no battery, so we don't have turn signals. Do hand signals, not a problem. We're about to put on 3,002 miles on the bike. That is awesome. Downshift. That clutch is sticking for sure. She's got all the power. Horn still works without the battery. Alright, she'll do. Yeah, she's all there. Clutch slipped a little bit, as you can see there. Not a big deal, but it slipped because of the lever and the clutch line not working properly. She did good. First little shakedown. Probably the first time she's got this hot in a long time. I have to drive these back to back right now just because I have to, but I'm pretty sure this bike has more power because it is tuned for the exhaust and the extra flow. So I think this bike is just a little bit slower than this bike is, obviously because it's modified. Let's go take it on a ride. All right, this one's nice and easy. Come here. Yeah, she's definitely a lot louder. Also, you can hear it bucking a little bit because of the gas and because of the jet. Downshift is so much more crisp. Very happy about this purchase. If you guys did enjoy this video, you guys want to see more about the 2GBs, the other CBs, or the other random motorcycles that I buy, make sure to subscribe. And as always, see you guys in the next video.